my children! It's been quite a ride this year. As it is every year, frankly. But for now, let us end the season of fear with our final Victorian undead tale, where the master detective takes on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Unlike the last two we've looked at, this is a one-shot single comic released in between Holmes's fight with the zombies and his fight with Dracula. A year has passed since the zombie invasion by Professor Moriarty, and most of London is rebuilding. But one night, a little match girl is attacked by a man who resembles one of these zombies, though he can communicate quite effectively, even as he bites the flesh of the poor child. Meanwhile, Watson is quite frustrated that Holmes has turned down 3 cases offered to them, while the government was more than happy to pay for rebuilding 221B Baker Street. Although personally, I feel like if you save the entire world from zombies, you should be given a blank check to do whatever the hell you want. Maybe I should save the world someday. Not as fun. Watson's work at a free clinic doesn't really bring in a lot of money for dining out. And as for the 3 cases, well, Holmes figured them out almost immediately. The cheap trickery employed and how unusual they were, and the last just an attempt to endorse some gothic romance novel. So Holmes will only take on cases if they're not boring? And endorse the gothic romance, Holmes! Didn't you like Crimson Peak? Still, a new case does arrive for them. Gabriel John Utterson, friend and family lawyer to Dr. Henry Jekyll. Utterson has been concerned about how Jekyll, an expert on psychotic illness, mania, and melancholia, has retreated from the world altogether. Recently, he wrote out a check to the father of the murdered matchstick girl. While the police were unable to prove a connection with Jekyll to the murder, his servants confirming he has not left the house in months, Utterson tried to see him, but was turned away by a gruff, curt voice, and he spotted a dark, twisted figure in the window, almost like the revenant zombies they had faced. Investigating the match girl's body, they can see she was murdered in an almost frenzied, animalistic manner, and under her fingernails, some fibers from whom she was fighting. What's more, her body reeks of formaldehyde before the body has been treated in the morgue. The matchstick girl's father was arrested for his connection to using his children for begging and money-making, but Holmes thinks that his sorrow for losing the girl is genuine, not a case of extortion against Jekyll. However, that does make one wonder why Jekyll wrote him a check to begin with. My suspicion? Heavy smoker, wanted to buy out a lifetime supply of matches. Holmes finally arranges to speak to Jekyll, who is impatient and nervous, claiming that he had heard about the murdered girl from his servants and just wanted to help. He is otherwise too busy with his work, an attempt to find a state of mental equilibrium, relieve a man of mania without surgery or incarceration. Holmes asks about the gruff assistant, whom Jekyll identifies as Edward Hyde, derived from formaldehyde. He claims that Hyde is not so much an assistant as just someone who helps in some heavy lifting on occasion. Still, the butler claims to not know of any such person. Watson thinks Hyde is actually a patient, a madman who has run amok. But Holmes is uncertain, since why does a doctor need a chemical preservative? And what heavy lifting is required for a doctor? Examining some dead flies they found in Jekyll's lab, they deduce that the flies died from formaldehyde that had been used on necrotic tissue. After the zombies' attack, all corpses had to be surrendered to the authorities for cremation. So now they wonder if his patient is, in fact, a zombie, and that Jekyll mutilated the girl's corpse so she wouldn't rise up as a zombie herself. Hyde would serve as muscle because of Jekyll's own diminutive strength. However, Utterson summons the pair again as Jekyll's lab has been ransacked. There's a restraint chair with broken ropes also in the lab, yet it was clearly set up so that the person sitting in the chair could restrain themselves unaided. Holmes deduces, based on the decayed flesh in the rope, that Jekyll himself is the zombie, and perhaps even more than that. He takes a syringe of some fluid Jekyll had been using and is able to pursue him out into the night, where he is attacking and killing someone. Or rather, Edward Hyde is doing so. A bullet to the head from Watson, though, does not kill him. After a struggle, even putting a knife into the man's shoulder, Hyde admits that he is indeed the same man as Dr. Jekyll, who had been trying his best to restrain him and clean up after his murders, but he was getting careless as time went on. Holmes injects the serum into Hyde, who reverts back to Jekyll and begs to be killed. He explains that after he had had a nervous breakdown from his work, he developed a split personality, himself and Hyde, but he thought he had suppressed Hyde with the help of an herbalist. However, during the zombie attack, he was bitten by one. He thought he would simply die, but the split personality and the herbs in his system had the effect of transforming him into Hyde on occasion while he attempted to find a cure. He once more begs to be killed, and Watson does the deed. A few more bullets through his head doing the job. Holmes decides to keep the serum that helped maintain his mind during the transformation into a zombie, thinking it might come in handy down the line. But that tale will never be told. Still a real shame that there were no more than the 3 we have looked at in the Victorian Undead series. And thus we close the Longbox again, my children. May your Halloweens be happy and your nights warm, even if I prefer the cold autumn air. We shall see each other again next year, no doubt, for that will be the 10th anniversary of these videos. Until then, may you do better at restraining your own monsters than the good Dr. Jekyll did.
Be hilarious and wait, what? Oh no, a supernatural force! Oh, I seem okay, but wait! Oh, my shirt is ruined! That one glowed in the dark! Oh, hey! Happy Halloween, everybody!